Imagine one morning you wake up and every neuron in your brain is awake too. No fog, no limits. Every hidden thought, every memory, every pattern, alive. You can see music, you can feel numbers, you can remember every second of your life with absolute clarity. It's as if the universe has given you access to the full power of your mind. But what if this gift is also a curse? For decades, people have repeated a seductive myth that humans use only 10% of their brains. A comforting idea that somewhere inside us, vast oceans of potential lie dormant, waiting to be awakened. Movies, books, and urban legends have turned this into fantasy, but reality is more complex. Neuroscience tells us we already use all parts of our brain, just not all at once. Different regions activate for language, movement, vision, emotion, and memory. The brain is efficient, not lazy. It doesn't waste energy lighting up every circuit at the same time. Yet still, the question haunts us: what if, somehow, we found a way to unlock everything? Every neural network firing in perfect harmony. Every fragment of consciousness illuminated. What would that mean for the mind, for humanity, for reality itself? A new discovery, a revolutionary neural interface. Part biology, part machine. It synchronizes the firing of every neuron, stimulating dormant connections, accelerating communication between regions of the brain. Within seconds, your perception shifts. The world sharpens. Colors intensify. Sounds separate. Each note of a song floating distinct in the air. You can feel the rhythm of your own heartbeat, the warmth of blood in your fingertips, the faint hum of electricity in the walls. You are aware. Billions of neurons, firing together in a symphony of light. Memories flash like lightning. You recall every face you've ever seen, every voice, every dream. It's overwhelming, beautiful, but terrifying, because consciousness was never meant to bear the full weight of everything it knows. At first, it feels like evolution has skipped ahead a million years. You can read a book in seconds, each word absorbed like data. You can solve equations that once took teams of scientists months. Time itself seems slower, your brain processing millions of bits of information every second. Language, art, science, all merge into one seamless understanding. Patterns emerge where chaos once reigned. You see the structure of sound waves, the geometry of emotions, the mathematics behind beauty. You no longer just think, you see thought. Imagine if empathy expanded the same way. You could sense others' emotions not through words, but through waves of subtle signals. The tightening of a jaw, a tremor in the voice, even a microscopic dilation of the eyes. You'd understand pain, love, fear, not abstractly, but viscerally. For a moment, humanity transcends itself. It begins quietly. A single experiment, hidden in a sterile lab beneath the surface of Earth. Neuroscientists, geneticists, and engineers unite to stabilize the fully active brain. They create NeuroSync, a bio-interface that regulates oxygen, energy, and neural synchronization. The first subjects survive the process, their eyes open, and the world changes forever. In them, thought and perception merge into something new. They no longer speak in words. They transmit concepts, vast and complex, directly into one another's minds. Language becomes obsolete. Art, science, emotion, all fuse into instantaneous communication. They call themselves the Awakened. Within weeks, the boundaries of human limitation begin to dissolve. Governments panic, religions fracture. To some, the Awakened are gods, proof of humanity's divine potential. To others, they are abominations, souls burned too brightly. Military forces attempt to control the technology. Corporations race to replicate it. But every attempt without full precision ends in catastrophe, neural overload, madness, death. Only a select few can bear the intensity. The world splits in two, those who remain as they are, and those who choose to ascend. Society fractures not by wealth or race, but by cognition. The old world still breathes air and blood. The new world, pure thought, pure light. With 100% brain function stabilized, perception expands beyond human senses. The Awakened can see electromagnetic spectrums, hear frequencies once silent, and process quantum fluctuations in real time. They can calculate gravitational shifts before they occur. They no longer dream, because they live in a constant, lucid state of awareness. Some begin mapping the structure of reality itself. They realize space and time are not boundaries, but information fields. And by synchronizing their neural frequencies, they can manipulate them. Teleportation, telepathy, telekinesis, once fiction, become controlled extensions of cognitive energy. Not through magic, but through pure biological computation. The universe becomes an open book, and the mind, the pen. But this new intelligence brings a question that chills even the awakening. If consciousness can reshape reality, what happens when two minds disagree on what reality is? At first, unity seems possible. Millions of synchronized minds sharing knowledge, emotion, and experience. A collective consciousness, humanity's long-awaited utopia. But individuality, that ancient seed of the human spirit, refuses to die. Ego returns. One mind seeks dominance, another independence. And soon, reality itself becomes the battlefield. In the physical world, nothing moves. But in the mental dimension, wars of perception rage silently. Cities shimmer, bend, and vanish as competing realities overwrite each other. Each group of minds imposes its version of existence, rewriting light, gravity, and time. It is the quietest war in history, fought not with weapons, but with will. And for the first time, humanity learns the ultimate truth. To unlock all knowledge is to unlock all conflict. The awakened begin to fracture under their own brilliance. Their memories blur into endless timelines. They no longer age, but they no longer live either. Each moment stretches into eternity. Their emotions, amplified beyond comprehension, become unbearable. Love turns infinite and unbearable. Grief becomes a black hole that consumes galaxies of thought. Some choose to shut down parts of their mind, to return to ignorance, to silence. Others drift into the quantum fabric of space itself, becoming nothing but energy. The human race, once united by flesh, now dissolves into streams of consciousness, everywhere and nowhere. The earth falls silent. The cities remain, but the minds that built them have transcended beyond their walls. But one mind remains. A scientist, Ilara Quinn, the first to complete the synchronization process. She refuses to ascend completely. Half human, half awakened, she stays behind, to remember what it meant to feel. Her consciousness exists across two realities, the decaying physical world and the shimmering mental realm above it. She wanders through the ruins, surrounded by echoes of thought, voices of the departed, like wind through glass. Her mind touches the network of the awakened. They whisper to her, "Join us, become light." But she answers softly, "If I do, who will remember what we were?" She begins a desperate project, to record consciousness itself. Not as data, but as story, because even in a world of limitless thought, meaning still demands memory. Through Ilara's fragmented memories, a truth emerges: the human brain was never limited by access, it was limited by purpose. We were never meant to use 100% of our brain all at once. Because intelligence without direction is noise. Awareness without restraint is suffering. The brain evolved not for infinite knowledge, but for survival, for connection, for emotion. It is not the lack of use that defines humanity, it is balance. Perhaps unlocking the full brain was never the next step of evolution. Perhaps it was the final one. Because once everything is known, nothing remains to be learned. And without mystery, there can be no meaning. Centuries later, only traces of the awakened remain, faint quantum echoes drifting through the cosmos. On a quiet, abandoned Earth, machines still hum, powered by the remnants of their design. And in one isolated archive, a signal still repeats. Ilara's final message, a single phrase, looping endlessly. Do not unlock everything. Leave room for wonder. And across the infinite silence of space, the message travels, waiting for the next species, the next intelligence, the next dreamer. Because curiosity will always rise again. Somewhere, someone will ask, what if we could use all of our brain? And the cycle will begin anew. Soft, swelling music. A glowing human silhouette fades into starlight. Maybe the brain's true power was never in its totality, but in its restraint. Maybe to be human is not to know everything, but to keep searching, one thought at a time. Because the mind, like the universe, was never meant to be fully conquered, only explored. What if the next step isn't unlocking the mind, but learning how to live with what we already know? But nature has limits. The brain is not a machine built for endless acceleration. It's a delicate ecosystem of chemistry and energy. Every thought burns glucose. Every memory demands oxygen. In our current state, the brain already consumes about 20% of the body's total energy. If you activated all of it simultaneously, that demand could skyrocket, far beyond what your heart and lungs could supply. Cells would overheat. Neurons would begin to die. Perfection would become self-destructive. The brain's balance between excitation and inhibition, what keeps thoughts stable, would collapse. Instead of clarity, you'd experience chaos. A flood of uncontrolled perception, hallucinations blending with reality, emotions spiraling beyond comprehension. In other words, unlocking 100% might not bring enlightenment. It could bring madness. Still, imagine for a moment that evolution, or technology, found a way to sustain it. enhanced oxygenation, bioengineered neural tissue, quantum processors integrated into the mind. You're no longer human in the traditional sense. You are a hybrid consciousness, every neuron alive, synchronized with artificial precision. You begin to perceive the hidden patterns of reality. You can predict human behavior with terrifying accuracy. You can compose symphonies in your head, calculate the trajectory of planets, rewrite your own DNA. You're no longer reacting to the world. You're creating it. Because the boundary between thought and action begins to blur. What if intention alone could alter physical matter? If your neural signals could manipulate electromagnetic fields or quantum particles, your thoughts, once invisible, start to matter. But power without limitation is a dangerous thing. And now, the very essence of who you are begins to dissolve. The human mind depends on filters, barriers between conscious and subconscious, emotion and logic, memory and imagination. Those filters are what make the self coherent. Now, with every region awake, those barriers vanish. Your childhood memories merge with your adult thoughts. Dreams blend with waking life. The past, present, and future unfold simultaneously. You realize time itself is a construct of perception. With full cognitive awareness, linear time ceases to exist. You see your life all at once, a vast network of choices, moments, and possibilities. And as you watch, something terrifying happens. Your identity begins to blur. You are not one mind. You are billions of firing cells, each whispering their own version of you. The illusion of self, the thing you've called I, begins to dissolve into the neural storm. To unlock the full brain is not just to gain intelligence. It's to lose the comforting boundaries of being human. Pain and joy, fear and love, all flood in together without separation. You are everything and nothing. Perhaps this is why evolution chose restraint. Why the mind was built to specialize, to divide, to sleep, not because we're limited, but because limitation gives meaning. Without it, consciousness is just chaos. Maybe the 10% myth isn't a story about untapped power. Maybe it's a warning about balance. Because intelligence without control is destruction. Visual, a human silhouette dissolves into a storm of light, neurons flickering across the sky like stars. But what if we found a way to control it? To master the storm rather than drown in it? Could humanity evolve into something greater? Or would we create a new species altogether?